what can you say? I don't know what to expect. I always say about when people ask what it's like coaching teenagers, I'm like, they mean well. It's just they're baby giraffes trying to run. They don't mean to be idiots. It just happens naturally. And eventually they'll figure it out. But until then, they're baby giraffes running. And that's what I mean. It's just what you guys are. So you don't mean to be idiots. Just like it's in your blood for now. You can't even say anything because it's like, yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. We're not disagreeing.
Call us out like that.
It's like he was a teenager once. Yeah. You don't swear on the podcast, man. God.
Oh my God. Welcome back to the Locker Room Podcast. Per usual, we got another great guest for y'all, so let's introduce him straight away. He's a radio host on Hot 99.5, host of the Thought Shower Podcast, a stand-up comedian, and after all that, he's one of Georgetown Prep's ice hockey coaches. Please welcome Intern John. Yeah!
Well, it's an honor. I'm upset it took me 72 episodes to get on, but, it's all good.
It was a gradual build-up to getting on the podcast. We had to get to that level,
Well, here we are. We did it.
Exactly. It happened.
Look at us. Look at us go. We had to prepare ourselves because you're pretty big yourself. You're a host on radio show 99.5. You have your own podcast, which is pretty outstanding. Now I really wanted to talk to you about like the nitty gritty. So when you were growing up, did you always really want to do radio and like podcasting and stand up?
So when I was 17, I was going to do college hockey. Hurt my knee, and then my dad announced hockey games when I was a kid, like in the arena for college. So I wanted to do sports broadcasting. Sports station in Minnesota wasn't hiring, but the top 40 station was. So it just kind of worked out that hockey stopped. And I started interning this summer going into my freshman year of college. And like that's like the short version of how it happened. And then I was 17 then, 31 now. So it's been a crazy 14 years.
Wow.
So that's how the name Intern John came around.
Yeah, I was only an intern for like 4 months, but the name stuck. So now it's just more so from a branding standpoint, didn't make sense to change it. So it could be a lot worse. They kept that forever. Yeah.
No, yeah, because I remember when I used to listen when I was a kid, I always hear Intern John, but I never thought I'd get the chance to meet him.
And you still listen, Heffright.
I still do.
There it is. Let's make sure yes, absolutely. Religiously. Absolutely.
Every morning, turn the radio on, hear your voice.
Or on your phone with the iHeartRadio app.
Really?
Yeah.
I might have to look into that. Now,
no, Heffright, you already have the app. So he's to go, I have that app.
Yeah, I have that.
Thank you. There it is.
Now you were saying you played hockey, right? And you were going to go college, right? So how long did you play hockey and, what level did you get to?
So I started, Minnesota's a little bit different. Like hockey in Minnesota is what lacrosse is here. So everybody does it. That's the priority. But also we have like 10,000 lakes and they all freeze in the winter. So there's ice everywhere. So you just go skate outside after school. So I started skating probably around 2 or 3 and then played selects through high school. And then that was that's where I got hurt. And that was kind of the end of it. But yeah, so played the majority of my life. And then did coaching stuff, refereed, and then started coaching again about 5 years ago at Prep.
Oh, wow.
I have a question about like the radio thing. Does that make podcasting easier? Like how does a podcast compare to working on the radio?
Yeah. So the first podcasts were like when I was starting radio, podcasts were just you took the show that was on the air and you took out the commercials and the music. And that was like the first podcast 14 years ago. The podcast I do now, I started probably 4 years ago because I wanted to get like practice hosting a show. So it's a little more free form than, no commercials or anything like that. So that was just more of another outlet to hone the craft, if you will. And then we hit 1 million listens a couple months back, which has been pretty dope.
Wow.
That's great. That's great. So you do radio, you do podcasts. Something I didn't know is that you do stand-up comedy. Like what's that like, or what made you want to try to do stand-up comedy in the first place?
So the stand-up thing, the story itself is dumb how it happened. I met Pete Davidson from SNL through another radio friend.
Wow.
And I was watching Pete do stand-up, and after the show we're hanging out, and I was like, dude, do you think I could do stand-up? And he laughed, and he's like, yeah, you're a nice guy. And then just it was silence. I'm like, all right, well. And then the long story short is I had a friend who served in the military. She was stationed in Texas, diagnosed with cancer, and she stayed at the Fisher House. And it's a great organization where they provide housing to military families during procedures. So like at Walter Reed, if somebody got hurt overseas, they'll fly your family out so you can stay with them and heal. So I wanted to do stand-up to raise money for them. First show was 5 years ago. It was supposed to be one show. We sold out in like 10 minutes. And then it's been 16 shows, I think, since then. So it was only supposed to be a one-time thing, but it did well. So I kept booking the tour myself, and then we couldn't do last year, obviously. But that was, the first, I played the Warner Theater in DC, which is where Chappelle filmed his last special. And that first show, like that's the first year I started coaching hockey too. So they both kind of lined up.
Whoa.
Wow. Wow. So I know you've probably heard this question a lot, with stand up and even the radio. What's it like operating within COVID? And I know that's probably an overlooming question that you would hate to hear, but what's it like?
Well, the stand-up sucked in the sense that we had a whole tour. I had a whole tour booked out for last year, 2020. And then it was just waiting and waiting and waiting until finally I was like, well, they probably can't make it work. So that sucked for the venues, having to cancel on them. We did a show in October. It was like social distance, but it was a weird feeling where, much like I'm sure the athletes feel now, where like I know the size of venue, I know how big the laugh should be, but considering it was a third capacity, it's a very scary feeling to tell a joke and like you don't hear as many laughs as you should. It's like, oh, that suck, or is it just because there's a third of the people here? Radio has been a little bit easier because nobody's at the radio station besides our show, so it's a lot like being in school without the teachers, where I can just kind of do whatever. So that part's been dope, but the tour itself took a hit. Although we're gonna try to do some dates later this year, hopefully when things are opened up,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you.
I did not know that stand-up kind of starting stand-up because Pete Davidson was there. It's like that's like pretty much just starting like pretty high up there.
The funny thing about it is I never thought I could be funny intentionally and not gonna be funny in conversation, but there's a difference of like writing jokes. So I decided I'm gonna do stand-up. And nobody told me how stand-up works. So what you're supposed to do is like you do 3 minutes and you do like 5 minutes, then 10 to 15. Nobody told me that. So for my first show, I just wrote an hour of material. I'm like, I'll just write an hour. And I remember getting to the stage, it was my show, and they had these other comedians opening for me. And like, well, where have you been practicing your stuff at? I'm like, I haven't. I just practice myself. Like, okay. How many minutes are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm just gonna do an hour. And they looked like if you went to like Cirque du Soleil and told the trapeze artist, like, I've seen the circus before, I can do this. That's about the look they gave me. Like, this kid has no idea what the hell he's doing. But I think it's because I didn't have that second guessing. I just assumed I was supposed to write an hour, that it worked decently well and was, that was 4 years ago.
Wow. So how long did that show actually go? Did you go for the full hour, or did you like redact it after you heard that?
No, I did the full hour because I didn't know any better. I think that's the funny thing about life in general, fellas, is we tend to put limitations on ourselves, and it's crazy how much that can hold you back. So had I known I was only supposed to do 3 or 5 or 10, I probably would have done 3 or 5 or 10. I just knew I saw everybody else, big comedians, do an hour. I'm like, well, I have to do an hour. And so because of that, I probably wrote 3 hours worth of stuff and then got it down to an hour. So had I known it's supposed to be shorter, it would have changed everything completely. But I just was like, all right, well, no excuse, got it right an hour. And that's kind of how it worked.
That's nice. I have a very interesting question about stand-up. Like, have you ever had like a joke, or like have you ever like said a joke where like no one has like laughed or like had like a poor reaction? I'm curious about that because like if I ever did stand up and that happened to me, I feel like it should be the most awkward thing ever. But
it can be, but the beauty of stand up is as long as you don't act like something went wrong, nobody knows. So if I say something that's not funny and I don't hear a reaction, I just keep going and nobody's like, oh, I guess that wasn't supposed to be funny. Now, one of the last shows I did in DC at the actual tour, like we do a sound check before the show, and that's just so like I go on stage, check the microphone, make sure I can hear everything. And everything before the show was great. For whatever reason, when I got on stage for my hour, something had changed where like the sound had changed, so I couldn't hear the audience the entire hour. So I get on stage, and at this point, I've done 15 shows, whatever, so I know what jokes are funny. I do the first joke, and nobody laughs. I'm like, uh-oh. And then for the next hour, I can't hear the audience. I'm like, I'm actually bombing for an hour. Like what is happening? Is it because the show's on a Friday? Is it because the show's in DC? Like going through the list. And like at one point I say off stage to my friend, I'm like, this is a cluster F. And then it wasn't until I got off stage and saw a video that people were laughing. It's just, they messed the sound up. So like, I thought I was bombing for a complete hour, which was like, it's the worst feeling ever, especially like when you know, like, people paid to see you, so you can't just be like, all right, I'm out here. You gotta keep going. So that hour, I was like, I'm done. And then I saw the video, and I was like, okay, it was all right.
So has there ever been like hecklers in the crowd or something like that? Like, how would you handle that, or how have you handled that?
Yeah, it's the same way I handle you idiots at practice. It's like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like, I do this for a living. Like, there's like, I was a teenage boy. I went to an all boys school. I do this for a living. So like, hecklers is just like, I won't entertain it too much because then it's just like, it ruins the show. But like, I'm fairly good at my feet, and that's so sometimes it's fun to lob it back. But most times people don't say anything because I think they're just excited to see the show.
That was a good comparison. Comparing that makes a lot.
Well, you know, you idiots. I mean this with like the utmost regard. The funniest thing about coaching at prep was when we first started in like the hockey program we took it over was not at all what we got today. But it's like you guys were you guys weren't there obviously yet, but like kids were mind blown that like I know all the tricks. Like you're not gonna get anything by me. And so that was a funny thing. It's like, yeah, we were kids too, not that long ago.
You know, I gotta ask because
that's why it's an interview, Hef, right?
Oh, well,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this, so you can ask questions.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, I gotta answer. So
really helped me out. So, you know, your skates. I think you've heard this from everyone. A lot of skating. And I personally like it. A bunch of people don't. But
who doesn't like it, Hef, right? Well, we're here.
They're anonymous, man.
You personally like it.
Hef, right.
Who else doesn't like it?
No. They're anonymous.
I love the feedback, man.
You know, I'm not going to name names, but we need to get Alex Demers in shape. Okay,
that's fair.
Oh,
yeah. You're gonna do him like that? He's in the other room.
Wow,
he's in the other room, right?
For a couple months.
I'm gonna call up Alex for that's wrong.
Well,
that's wrong.
I'm gonna call him out in front of his face. I'll get him in the room right now.
Get Alex right now.
No, we're gonna keep going. But like,
Alex,
so when you were skating as a kid and you were handling, were you yourself? This first question: were you yourself one of the idiots on the ice like us?
Yeah, I think hockey at this level, when you guys understand, hockey is a unique sport where it's the hardest sport to play, and I don't care. People can argue it, but the fact of the matter is, you put LeBron James in the NHL for a season, he's going to do horrible. Put Ovechkin in the NBA, he's probably going to score a basket or two. Like it's just reality. Like it doesn't matter. It's the hardest sport to play. So you get to a certain level, it's like you guys know what you're doing. So it can be lax. And I was the same way. It's a fun game. It's a very fun game. You probably play with the same guys for 10 years, roughly, or at least you played against them. So I was that guy. So I understand, but it's still winning's still fun too. So I understand fully being the idiot part. But I also know that winning's still fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I get that. And my follow-up is, when you were playing, did you do the skating as well? Like when you were going at it and you guys like lost a game or you were messing around, was your coach just like, nah, I'm not having it, do the Minnesota Mile or something like that?
Yeah, we used to have to skate between periods or do cardio between periods. Oh, we do wall sits between periods. You guys have it very easy.
Really?
We would do wall sits between periods. Oh yeah.
I remember when you coached, this was JV freshman year, I think. You said we were playing St. Mary's Riken. And you said something like, if they got it over the middle of the ice, we had to skate in between the second and third.
Yeah, well, that the team we were playing probably wasn't that good, and so that was like,
Oh, no, they were
you
terrible.
know, but also too that's like the balance of like you can still be a good competitor without running the score up, and one of those things is making the other team work to get the puck in our zone. So that's probably we were trying to pad our stats and score 10 goals each. I'm like, we're going to start with defense first. So to be fair, it was probably deserved. So
Yeah.
leave Colin out to dry.
He had one shot that game, I remember.
That was my first high school shutout with 0 shots. So
Look at that. I'm
Oh,
proud
yeah.
I coach you to it, Colin.
yeah,
I'm going to take credit for that
it was
too.
a very good team effort, very good coaching,
Yeah.
great game plan.
I think it was okay team effort, better coaching, honestly, in my opinion.
I mean, can't complain with the success.
Yeah, you really never can. Now, have you modeled your coaching style off of like any coaches in the past? Because I know a lot of people get it from their mentors.
Yeah, I think so. But the like I had coaches that were hard, certainly, but I think the cool thing about the hockey program is Mr. Danber, who coaches soccer and hockey at prep. He's the brains behind the operation. So Brian, I've learned so much from Brian, how he does things. And he's the reason that we took over the program 5 years ago. I mean, you guys don't even like understand. We had 23 kids maybe in the program, like tops.
Really?
So the previous season, I think they lost something like double-digit games. Like they had won maybe 3 games. They got blown up by Landon double digits, blown up by Gonzaga. So it was a mess. So we came in that first year, and it was Brian really was the one that kind of like got it all together and got the formula that you see now. Brian was the one that did that. So probably modeled it more after him, I guess, in that sense, as far as the discipline aspect. But yeah, Brian does a good job. It's kind of run like a football program. Like Brian makes the ultimate decisions, but he lets the assistants run their specialty, which has been huge to the success of the program.
Wow. It has been, yeah.
So we had Coach Mike on a little while back, and
you had Mike on before me. Golly, I see y'all this week on the ice, right, man?
Yeah, you see me tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I see Colin today, so that's
in a couple hours, in 2 hours.
Man, hurtful.
And we asked Mike this question, and what is the easiest and also the hardest part about coaching prep hockey?
Like at the school or just in general?
Kind of just in general, yeah.
The hardest thing was that year one was the hardest thing because we were the third coaching staff in 3 years. So we didn't know what we had. It's hard to change the culture of like whatever happened in the past wasn't going to happen. So that was a year too where like that was our least skilled team, but probably they just found a way to win. So that was hard to get the gears going on that. I mean, I can remember the first time we beat Landon twice and then beat Gonzaga at the Fort. And the first time being Gonzaga and Landon in like 15 years. So that was a very fun moment. Hardest part is I think that is hard to get through to kids that there's more, you have more in you than you think. And I think Heffrite, you're a perfect example, kid. I don't think you freshman year would not expect you to be at the level you are now. I think you finally found whatever that thing is underneath the surface. So the hardest thing is to try to tell kids that that's there. Like it's there. I can't get it for you. You have to put the work in. But like when Heffrite came to the first skate this year, I didn't recognize him. Like not even like I went up and introduced myself to him because he looked so different. Wasn't acting like a complete moron and like I gotten better. So that's the most rewarding thing for us as coaches is like, when it finally clicks with somebody, like they have everything you need inside, you just gotta find it. So that's it. I mean, and seeing you guys win, climbing the boards like idiots, like that is annoying. The fact you're climbing the boards and it could break, but that's probably the most rewarding thing about it is seeing you guys celebrate with your friends and getting those big wins. You know, we've been lucky. We've of the 4 seasons we've had, we've won 2 championships, which have been dope.
Yeah.
So speaking of championships, this is kind of an easy question, I guess, but where were your expectations going into this year? And probably the actual question, like, do you think we'll actually have a season this year?
I thought this year was going to, I mean, you never know. You just never know when it comes to what you're going to get. So for whatever reason for us, it tends to be on year, off year. I think it's because we have the on year and then we think we got this. So year one for us, we won. Year 2 is dumpster fire. Year 3 we won. Year 4 was a dumpster fire for most of the year. So I really thought this was going to be the bounce back year. I think that the senior class was good. We had a huge freshman class of kids that can play. As far as I have no idea. I know they're still trying to find any way possible to make it happen. I just don't know. But I certainly was expecting this year to be, and then to get so close as we did to playing for the big championship. I just like the hope was that would be the fuel to get to the next level. But the weird thing is, and I haven't told any of the kids this yet though. I wasn't planning on coaching this year, so I thought I was gonna get another job in a different city. So after the last game last season, I told Brian, like outside the locker room, like, hey man, this was probably the last hurrah. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be back next year. I'm not gonna be here. So I was very bummed because I thought that was the way I was going out. And then to have when the end of the year banquet canceled, I'm like, oh damn, I'm not gonna be able to say goodbye to the seniors. And then turns out I was gonna stay. And I was like, oh hell yeah. But then the season got delayed, so it's been a little wishy-washy, but was fully expecting a great season. No, and hopefully it happens.
Yeah.
You said walk away. How would that have worked with kind of switching back to like radio and all that? How would that have worked?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was gonna get a show in a different city. So I thought like they'd be like, hey, you're gonna do a show in Miami. So that was kind of like I had that in the back of my mind. Didn't tell Brian during the season or anybody because I didn't want to take the mind off of that, and didn't feel like after the game was a good place to say it. So just told Brian on the bus, like, hey, just so you know, I don't know if I'm gonna be here next year. And it worked. It's worked out, which is great. But yeah, that was the situation.
Now, where do you see yourself going from the point where you're at now? Where do you see yourself like 5 years, 10 years in the future?
It's a hard question because I don't know. I always try to set goals. Hopefully is keep growing the empire with everything I do is try to make everything bigger and better. So that's kind of a generic answer, I guess. But yeah, just keep honing everything I do so it's the best everything I do. So whether it's coaching, whether it's the show, whether it's podcast, just keep making it bigger and better is the generic answer, I guess.
Now, do you think this 10-month period has helped you or hurt you?
I think that I mean, from a standpoint of entertainment, like no matter what happens in life goes on, right? So just because everybody is shut down doesn't mean there's not things you can do to get better yourself. So like, for instance, half right for you, I'm assuming you've worked out during lockdown because you're obviously in better shape than you were last year. So like, there's things you can do, even if you can't go outside, that still will make you better for your craft. So for me, I think even though these last several months have been odd, like I've still tried to put as much as I can, everything else that I can do so that when everything's back to normal, I'll be decently fine as to where I was.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, and honestly, like I've seen this 10-month period as kind of time to reflect on myself and build to be better, which really has helped in the long run, And I think it's all a mental battle because you have all this time. Like, I don't know about you, but there is so much time that I have sitting in my house. Like there will be 2-3 hour time periods. Now that is saying like before the beginning of the year, like where I would just sit in my house. And now I've kind of tried to find ways to fill that time. So kind of shooting a question at you, have you found ways to fill the time that could have been put in with like hanging out with other people or going and do longer radio shows or comedy?
Yeah. So my schedule is I've been up since 3:30 this morning. I probably won't be in bed until 10. So I get up at 3:30, get to the station about 4, do the show, leave the station like 11ish, usually go to the gym and then work on the next day's show. And then like during hockey seasons, like go to practice, watch game film. So there really isn't like a lot of free space in between. So yeah, and I also don't do well with free time either because there's always something you can be doing. Now, like obviously, like I like to play video games and do that stuff too. But like as far as everything else, like I haven't found myself with more free time, like because there's still more stuff to do. You know what I mean? And you guys will. I mean, you're smart kids. You'll get that like there's nothing holding you back from whatever you want to do besides you. So like you guys know about opportunity costs. Have you taught you that like in economics or anything?
Well, I think we'll take that next year.
Yeah.
So the idea of opportunity cost, right? It's like every action costs you something. So what's the opportunity cost of me playing video games for 2 hours? Well, what could I be doing instead? Could go to the gym, could read a book, could do writes, whatever. So like every action you do, you're taking time away for something else, right? So that's kind of been how I operate, even from like the alarm goes off at, I guess it goes off at 3:25, but get up right away because it's like that's 5 minutes that you can't get back. So you're in control of your, I mean, you guys are a little bit different with school, but you're control of your free times. It's your decision. And I guess like the overall thing too, like, you know, I slept on the floor for a year before I got to DC and ate tuna for a year because I couldn't afford anything. And the motto has always been for me, I guess this goes back to the 5-year plan. It's like, I don't want to 5 years down from the line, look back and now been like, damn, I really could have done more during lockdown to get to my dreams. That is the worst. I've told you guys this in hockey, like the worst thing you can have is regret, that you look back and you think I should have done X, Y, and Z more, and then it had a different outcome. The best thing you can say is, yeah, it didn't work out, but there's nothing more I could have done. So I try to work every day so that if this doesn't work out 5 years from now, same with coaching, like coaching, the last thing I want to do after a god awful game is watch it again on TV. It's the last, but like at the same time though, if we lose at the end of the season, I want to be able to look back and be like, well, I did all I could do. I watched all the film. So that's kind of like, you're building that for the future so that you can always say like there's nothing more you could have done. And then you kind of have that inner peace.
Yeah. Right. And you said something that really kind of sat in my head. Like, wow, you said you slept on the floor and ate tuna because how did you get from that to where you are now? Because that's an insane story to hear. Like, from looking at you right now, I would not be able to tell that this guy slept on the floor and ate only tuna.
Yeah, so when I left Minneapolis, took a job in Des Moines for a year and was broke. Like there's no around. It's like I slept on the floor for a year, ate the tuna, but that was just kind of like it's on me. Like there's nobody else. It's me and my dog, so it's on me. So how I got the job in DC was networking. Networking for you guys is easier than ever. So I just would send an email of like my highlight audio to anybody that would listen. Like every month, boom. So anything that responded, kept sending it. And then finally got a call from DC, like, hey, we're hiring. I didn't even know they were hiring. So that was just kind of like, you know, you can sit back and wait. It's kind of like if you go the hockey analogy, you can sit and watch a rebound and pray it goes to you, or you can go in the corner and just get the damn thing. Like that's just kind of what comes in. And that's just like for life. Like you can sit back and wait and just really hope things go your way, or you can like step in and make a difference. So that's kind of been like it was survival in the beginning. And now it's just more so putting myself in that position to not go back to sleeping on the floor.
So back to what you said about radio, how you were just sending emails out to all these different companies. So once you got a job on the radio, what would you say is your best advice to someone that's like looking to get in there?
I mean, it's no different than anything. It's the hustle. Like you have to outwork everybody. Like the funny thing about life is I am nowhere near the most talented person in anything I do. Most talented people in anything they do usually aren't doing that thing because they never had to work hard. You can be, and I've seen like coaching. We've had some of the most talented kids. Our first year, one of the most talented kids I've ever seen in my life. But like he never had to work for it. So when things got rough, didn't know what to do. So that to me is like that old adage, like hard work beats talent. When talent doesn't work hard, I mean, it's true. It's because like if something comes easy to you, the second it's difficult, you don't know how to react to it. Like in sports, if you see a team that's never played down before, like they've never been behind in the game, when they're behind in the game, they have no idea what to do. So just keep grinding and grinding and grinding is the best advice I can give.
Wow, truly. And I mean that analogy kind of reminded me of the hockey. You remember you watched World Juniors, right?
Yeah.
You remember the Canada team. The team to beat, number one team, never lost a game by more than 5. How many goals did they let in, Con? Like 4?
I want to say their goals ratio was between 40 and like 45 to 4 or 5.
And the second USA, they came out with a rough start, lost to Russia. They kind of built off that loss, continued to play well. They experienced the loss, you know. And that kind of reminds me of you. Like you experienced the loss, you slept on the floor. And you built from that loss, and then hard work. You worked hard to get here, and then USA beat Russia or Canada because Canada went down, and they did not know how to come back up. But USA just kept pushing and fighting, and I think that's a that would be a great analogy for your story.
That's why with hockey, it's not coincidence. We always have our first exhibition game against a team that's been playing for a couple weeks.
Yep.
Usually it's Gonzaga. The first year, I think we lost to Gonzaga like 9-1 was the first game. And I was like, oh boy. And then we ended up shutting them out 3-0 at the Fort. So it's kind of the same thing. It's good to get the litmus test and then have something to shoot for. That's a great thing about sports. It's very black and white as far as results. Like putting the work in and seeing the results is very black and white.
Wow. It's insane to hear, how everything can be related back to each other.
For the most part, man, like you see it, like, it's different when you get jobs and stuff, but sports is like, it's the one thing where you can actually see if your work pays off, like right away. You either win or you lose. Then do you get better the next game? Well, okay. Like it's very cut and dry.
Well, yeah. And you got to work hard for everything,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like literally everything you have to work for. And like sports is a great analogy for life.
Absolutely it is.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely it is. That's why I'm glad that I get to be a part of the program year 5 at the school, which has been great.
Yeah. Now, when hypothetically, if you move cities, you get a show in a different city like Miami or something like that, do you see yourself still coaching?
That's a good question. It has worked out so well at prep. I highly doubt I'd find another situation this good, in the sense that to coach high school right away was great. To have Brian, who is the liaison between the school and the team, is great. So it'd be very difficult to find a situation like this, where even just the fact that like Brian, even though he is the boss, like still lets us make mistakes and still lets us kind of do our thing. So probably not, because I just don't think you wouldn't be able to recreate the dynamic we have.
Really? Now, would you ever come back?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be dope. Like prep's a unique spot, and it's a funny thing. I think I don't think the school expected the hockey team to do this well. I don't think anybody in the area would. When I got called about the prep gig, my friend called me. He's like, "Hey, prep needs a hockey coach. Their coach, because the previous coach quit in like September. So like we're talking like a month before the season quit.
Right before the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my friend's like, the soccer coach is going to coach hockey. I'm like, excuse me? He goes, yeah, the soccer coach. I'm like, what is? So I don't think that anybody expected the team to be, again, I tell you, we had 23 kids in the program. Now we have, I don't know, 50. There's 30 something, 40 kids that apply for next year. So like, it's kind of hard to recreate what we've created here,
Now, what was the connection you had? Because when I first came in to hockey practice freshman year, I still remember it. I'm like, how does Intern John, the coach of Georgetown Prep hockey?
Yeah, so my coworkers, his best friend that used to work at Prep, his name is Blake. He used to work in the athletic office, and so Blake, I don't know, I guess they were just looking for, when another coach quit, Brian was there coaching soccer and had hockey background, so I would imagine they just couldn't find anybody else, so they landed on me. So it worked. I can't complain. I mean, it worked out. Yeah, but I was a little bit like, there's just no way this is going to work, and then it couldn't have worked any better.
So you mentioned the like recruiting thing of all the kids coming in next year.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? How do you try to recruit 7th, 8th graders?
Yeah, so recruiting is a strong word. There's a lot of rules. The long story short is we can't reach out to somebody and tell them to come to prep unless they've done it first, which is probably a good thing. I think it's a very, you guys will realize when you get older, it's a very odd thing the way some adults treat youth sports. It's a very weird thing. Like I've said to you guys ad nauseum, we don't coach for us. If you guys win a championship, I can't go get girls at the bar saying I just won an ISC championship. They'll be like, you're 30. There's some people I think that coach for the wrong reasons. I'm glad that we don't do that. So like we'll get like a list of kids and then try to see kids we think are well-rounded enough and then have hockey experience. And we try to talk to it's a little bit different this year because can't meet anybody. Like we'll do like the school has like their open house night. I don't think I met you, Colin. I met your mom. I think I met you and your dad the first open house day. So like, I remember meeting all you guys when you first, like, I remember meeting Matt Prame and he was a freshman, and being like, this kid doesn't laugh. Like, what the hell is, like, what is this kid? So like, that's the cool thing is like seeing those connections. Like this senior class is our first recruiting class, if you will, where I met like Fitzy when he was an 8th grader. So it's just trying to find the right fit for the program to try to get what we're building.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I made it with the open house or not, but yet again, I think I started playing hockey in, I think, 7th grade. So
I remember for sure meeting your mom. I don't think you were there, but I remember meeting your mom though and saying that her son was a goalie. I'm pretty sure. I don't think you were there though.
I'm not sure if I was there or not. I don't remember it.
Let's just assume I'm right, Colin.
Yeah, that's normally a good idea.
Yeah, I remember like my dad, he coaches at prep too, and some of the parents that like come up to him about like baseball and stuff. Some of them are crazy. Like I remember we were at some game. I think he was watching something, and this parent goes up to him and goes, "Are you the prep baseball coach?" He goes, "Yeah, meet my son. He's like 5th grade." And I'm like, why are you already talking about like high school? I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out. It's very interesting world.
I think, your parents want the best for you, which I understand. The benefit that I have that I always tell parents is I don't have a kid on the team and I hate you all the same. And I say that like there's no favorites. So I think that's kind of the unique benefit too, where it's like, I'm not coaching to make $1 million. I'm not coaching. We coaches, we just enjoy doing it. And we've had success doing it this way, which is, again, we've been very blessed. It's worked out this way.
That's crazy. Just to think about how everything kind of pieced together,
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, work for those opportunities. Like that's kind of what it all comes down to. Nothing happens by chance, right? So like the odds of everything happening in my life, like I'm from Minnesota. My dad's from Rhode Island. My dad survived Vietnam. My mom's from like the odds of them meeting, dating, me being born, like what you guys, I think understanding older, about 1 billion things had to happen for us all to be on this call right now in each of our lives. So like nothing's by chance. Like you make your decisions now that will affect like the rest of your life. Like it's just reality.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a butterfly effect. Like the one decision you make, like if I turn my chair this way, I just completely changed my future.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen now. Yeah. But I turned my chair this way.
Well, I'll tell you this, when I was in high school,
right.
I, again, all boys school, Minnesota, and we're all adults here. Like played football, and our coach had a very strict policy. If you did anything illegal, you were done for the season. No questions asked. You wouldn't play another down, but you still had to go to practice. Like, so if you were a sophomore and you got busted, you had to play that entire year. Otherwise you were done forever. So my junior homecoming, I was at a party where there were things happening that shouldn't be. So thank God I didn't partake and left, because I got pulled over driving home because the police officer knew it was homecoming and just assumed that I was doing something I shouldn't be doing, had me do the breathalyzer, and I blew zeros. Had I partaked in that stuff, that wouldn't be here right now. Like the amount of things that have happened from that moment on, I wouldn't be here. Like I've been kicked off the school, kicked out of school, whatever, yada, yada, yada. So like butterfly effect's real, man. That's the one thing I worry about. I try to tell you guys is like one decision you make now in high school, one wrong decision could change everything.
Yeah. You got to be careful.
Definitely.
It's crazy. Whichever way it could take you, I kind of want to ask a question. This isn't towards
this interview half right. So please.
No. This is actually towards Colin. It's actually towards Colin. Something I've always wanted to know.
Okay.
What made you switch from fencing to hockey? And I'd probably ask
me this. Okay, so for context, I used to do fencing. I was a top 50 fencer in the nation.
Damn.
At the time. And the reason I stopped doing it for hockey in 7th grade, which was a bit of a bold move, but it's worked out. The reason I did it was I'm a believer in doing what you like doing, what you love doing. And in that time, I've been fencing for 7-8 years, and kind of the big tipping of the iceberg kind of was every year there's this big nationals tournament, which is the national championship tournament. And my coach coaches at this club where they send all these guys over to this tournament, and I was one of them, and they had different dates for each age group. So you had to go fly out there, because that one year, I think it was in Dallas, I want to say.
Hmm.
Yep.
And so I ran into my coach at the airport, but he was flying back in. So he basically told me at the airport, hey, in the biggest tournament of your life, I'm not going to be there. So you're on your own.
Oh, damn.
Jeez.
Which was pretty brutal, but I didn't do as well as I did. I finished 77 out of 180 or 190, which isn't bad, but if I had a coach, I probably would have finished. Like if I look back at the results, I probably could have beaten guys in the 50s and maybe 40s. So
We're glad he switched.
yeah, I'm glad I switched too. I love playing hockey now.
So Colin, you're another one too, where it's like your skill level from you need less a kick in the ass than Heffright did, but your skill level from freshman year now is night and day.
Yeah, I think fencing played a big part in that because it's just a razor thin piece of metal that you have to kind of watch it, and I think that's how I think a big key of my hand-eye coordination came in. But it was mainly just work because I had to learn how to skate, which was took a little bit of time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Granted, still not like amazing at it, but we're still working every day at it. So
we're working on it today.
Exactly. I forget how long the skate is today.
Hour and a half.
Yep.
Come on now.
It's crazy. Crazy. Well, thank you for coming on. This means a lot to us.
Solid episode.
I got one more question, but this is kind of another question. Like, all right, so I kind of want to do all right, so my dad used to drive me all around when I was younger, and he was a massive fan of 106.7 The Fan, the Junkies, since he's a big sports guy.
Yeah.
And I grew up listening to them, and I've always kind of wanted to go into that. So is there anything or I guess you kind of answered this question earlier with the advice question. So is work the main thing to get to that level? Or
the beauty is now is you guys doing this podcast now, if you keep doing this for a couple of years, you'll be so far ahead of me when I was your age, just because this wasn't really a thing yet. So those guys, I don't know them personally. I did a poker game with one of them, a virtual one for charity a couple of weeks ago, but those guys have been they're legends in the area. So I think, they probably started when they were around your guys' age too. So you guys have every tool that you at your disposal now that it's unreal that you can do whatever you want. I think the legendary Herb Brooks once said, risk something or forever sit with your dreams. It's kind of it's true. You got to take a risk. Otherwise you just sit dreaming about stuff. So you guys, you have the talent, you have the abilities to, so I would keep doing this up and then you'll get to where you want to be.
Cool. We'll do. We'll just keep working hard and
keep working.
Have me on before Mike next time. Golly.
We're stepping up. We're going upwards.
You gotta get Danver on.
You're part of the trend.
We have tried.
Fun fact, Danver actually ghosted us. We sent him a text that you didn't open that, and we sent him an email. He didn't open that one either. So
here's the funny thing about Danver, right? So first meeting Brian, I didn't get he's one of the funniest people on the planet. He's just so dry. At first, I was like, oh, this guy hates me, I think. I don't think, but he's just the most dry person that he's so funny. But at first it was I think this guy really doesn't like me as a person. Now we're cool. So that's good.
Yeah.
We really thought we were going to get a yes out of Mr. Danver, and it just,
I'm sure he'll do it. He's got a baby and went on the way. So there is that.
That's true. He's really.
I wouldn't even want to talk to you guys. You three.
Oh, of course. He loves talking to us.
Yeah.
I was in his Latin class. I like to think
that Latin class was a disaster.
I like to think I was his favorite student in the Latin class.
He hated that class so much.
Actually, you're covering your face half right as you say that says all I need to know.
No.
That class was wild.
No,
half right can't even lie to himself.
I think I ran 2 miles a week freshman year.
And now look at you.
In that class.
Yeah.
Jay, he would make kids run around the track every time that he got annoyed with them.
That sounds about right.
May have set the school record for laps.
I would not doubt that. I'm sure it'll stand the test of time.
Oh yeah, every single day.
Every day.
That class was so funny.
I'm not surprised, half right.
He's my favorite freshman teacher.
Honestly. And then times on bus with Danver. Oh.
Well, you guys,
those conversations can't be aired. That we can't talk about those.
That is just what can you say? I don't know what to expect. I always say about when people ask what it's like coaching teenagers, I'm like, they mean well, It's just they're baby giraffes trying to run. They don't mean to be idiots. It just happens naturally. And eventually they'll figure it out. But until then, they're baby giraffes running. And that's what, I mean, it's just what you guys are. It's like, you don't mean to be idiots. Just like it's in your blood for now. You can't even say anything because it's like, yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. We're not disagreeing.
Call us out like that.
It's like he was a teenager once. Yeah. You don't swear on the podcast, man. Golly.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to
What a terrible person.
Men for others, Patrick.
He's not Hefray.
Holy.
What?
This episode of less
Get it
swear words
together.
than the last one. We had a science teacher on, and he sweared a whole bunch, which was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
I noticed you guys edited one of the swear words out, and the rest of them were like, well, let it fly. We'll only bleep one of them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, let's just go 75, not 100. That's about right. All right.
He's really shouting you out, Colin. Colin's the editor.
Get it together, Colin.
yeah, I have to put all these together.
Of course, you guys make Colin do it.
I'm
God,
the
like-
graphics designer, all right? Don't
Graphics
worry.
designer, you've made 2 photos, and you've used Snapchat.
Off Snapchat.
Here's the problem with Georgetown Prep Athletics. Let me break it down real quick. At least in the hockey, you morons pick on the nicest kids and make them do the crap stuff. Billy Alston and Colin. For whatever reason, Billy Alston probably has never sinned in his life. Colin probably hasn't either. But guys like Hefray will pick on them for no reason other than the fact that they're perfect humans.
What? Come on. I don't pick on Colin. That's not true.
No, Colin's nice. He'll do the work. That is, yeah, there it is. Drafts.
Come on, Hefray.
That's not
It's
true.
not you're really not a man for others.
It's not true.
From what I'm hearing right now.
Right. We're skating tomorrow. Tell Demers, wake his ass up. Tell him we're skating tomorrow. His dad gave him permission to skate until he pukes. So
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Can you do like a Minnesota Mile for like an hour?
yeah, doesn't matter to me. I'm not doing it. I'm just watching.
Eat. Let's
So.
go.
Fellas, it's been a pleasure. This is
Yeah, this is a great
truly-
episode.
This is a good
lot of fun.
episode.
yeah. I'm just gonna retire here and then make sure you get Danver on.
Yeah.
We'll try again. We'll shoot our shot with
Next
Denver
goal.
again.
So put us in a group chat. That way I can get him on.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Look at
We'll just,
that.
like,
That's a good
just
idea.
spam the group chat until they respond.
I didn't say spam. I said to start a group chat, and then that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-awareness, F, right? You'll get there.
This is bullying. I feel like this is a bully. Like you got these
Hefray,
guys
you're
like
just easy to pick
people
on.
on the radio. People on the radio. They,
Hefray, this is your thing though. You just like there's always a Hefray on the team too. It's the kid that like likes to push buttons, and the second he gets it back, it's like, oh, why are you picking on me?
no, no.
Doing it for the
That
whole
is not
time,
fair.
and like eventually somebody responds like, oh, I didn't know this was gonna happen. I've just been trying to have fun.
You know, I think some.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you think that I'm right because that's 100%.
I
Right.
believe you're right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I believe it. I
Yeah,
believe it.
Trust me, I've been
believe
doing
it.
this a minute. I'm fully aware. So
I bet you were like me when you were a kid.
we'll never know.
Oh, we will.
No, I think we're good. Hey,
Oh, denial.
I got a
Oh,
pla-
look at me. Oh,
I got a plan for practice. This has been fantastic.
no. All right.
Hey, thanks for having me, Colin. I'll see you in a couple hours. Hefright, hydrate tomorrow, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you for joining us. This is a lot
Hey.
of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, fellas. See you guys later.
Hey, you see ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a great episode, guys.
It was
Solid.
awesome having him on. That was a good episode.
Good. That was a good episode.
Yeah.
All right.
definitely.
I feel like we didn't plan enough questions, but you know what? We're
Do we
chilling.
need to wrap it up, Colin?
Yeah. Do you want to wrap it up?
Oh, wait, are we not done?
No, we're still recording right now.
Yeah, I know.
Idiots.
Oh, okay. You know, I thought we did pretty good. You know,
We're trending
He was a
up.
He was a
Trending
great
upward.
guest to have. He's a good guy. He's a good coach too.
Definitely.
I got-
Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Check those out. I will start posting on Twitter. With me
Yep,
and
like Mr. Fenford said, you have to. You
I
have to.
I
You have to.
absolutely
like Mr.
have
Fenford
to.
said.
I just need to ask for the username and password because I got a new phone and I did
I'll
not.
send it over.
All right, do that as soon as we're done. Okay.
Yep.
And
All right.
right,
So I'll
better.
tease. I'll tell people who we're trying to get next week. Next week, we're trying to get a golfer by the name of Denny McCarthy. He is a Georgetown Prep grad, and he is
Sir.
the top 100 golfer in the world PGA Tour.
He's very good at golfing.
He's very good at the golf. So hopefully
He's good at.
he's good
yeah.
at he's good at swinging the golf clubs. So hopefully we'll have him on next week. Odds are probably not. Odds are low. But you know what?
We try to get Dean Rod on the podcast.
We could try in the future. I have no problem with that.
That would be interesting.
We just got to fire one at the dartboard, and maybe it sticks, maybe it doesn't. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it depends on who's firing it. If it's like Colin,
I'm firing the
It's
shot.
Jeff Wright,
No, you're
it's-
absolutely
no,
not
no.
you're
firing the
legally
shot.
blind. You don't deserve to touch a dart in your life.
Yeah. Okay. Here's when we went skeet shooting.
Oh my God! No! That was my first.
Oh,
time.
let's bring
Jeff Wright
this
went
up.
9 for 50.
Have a
9
nice
for
day,
50.
guys. This has been.
I
a
went
Locker Room
27
Podcast.
for 50.
Hef
I'm
right
a
out.
marksman.
He just left.
gone.
He
He's
just
gone.
left. He knew he's wrong. He knew he's wrong.
Yeah, I'm lethal with the shot.
God. I need to come by. I need to shoot with you guys. I'd probably suck even more, but
Well,
see.
my dad got a gun, so we can do that more often. So we
Woo!
can make it happen. We can make it happen.
Woo!
All right, this has been the Locker Room Podcast. Like Mr. Fenford said, you have to follow all of the socials
You
and all
have
the other
to.
stuff you see. Please like and subscribe. Mr. Fenford told you to. We're gonna have a guest on for next week. Until then, see ya.
Bye.